Can Red Bull continue to dominate Formula One now that it is launching its own engine from scratch, just as the wildest technical revolution in decades arrives? Subscribe to continue uploading more of this type of content now, if we continue. To understand the magnitude of what Red Bull is attempting in 2026, you must first go back and understand the evolution of the team since its entry into Formula One in 2005. Red Bull was born as an irreverent team, almost an advertising experiment with sporting ambitions, but it quickly became a technical power, thanks in large part to the figure of Adrian Newey and his close collaboration with Renault during the years of Vettel's dominance. However, its success always depended on external alliances. First Renault, then Honda. Now, for the first time, Red Bull has decided to cut that umbilical cord and manufacture its own engine. And not in any context, but just when Formula One enters one of its most aggressive revolutions in terms of regulations and design philosophy. That choice is not just technical, it's cultural, it is identity. And here comes the most interesting component, the when of this decision. Red Bull could have waited. It could have continued using Honda engines until 2030. But it chose to make this move just as Formula One completely rewrites its rules. Shorter, lighter cars without DRS and with active aerodynamics. Engines where half of the power is electric. A new way of running, of thinking, of designing. In that context, starting from scratch may not be a disadvantage. On the contrary, it is an opportunity. All teams must relearn the game. Everyone must build a new foundation. Red Bull has opted to be a pioneer, to dominate uncertainty instead of resisting it. The RB22 is not just the name of a new car, it is the name of an idea, of a technical experiment that can crown Red Bull as the total force of modern motorsport, or that can expose its limits at the most critical moment. Because if they fail, it won't be for lack of talent or resources. It will be because they decided to face the storm from the eye of the hurricane. When Red Bull announced it would unveil its 2026 car in Detroit, many fans thought they would see the real RB22. The expectation was enormous. The alliance with Ford, the radical change in the rules, and the idea that Red Bull would show its new car generated a wave of speculation and excitement. But what was finally shown was not the real RB22. It was a show car, a generic model produced by the Memento Exclusives company. A silhouette adapted to the new proportions, but devoid of real technical content. And this decision is not accidental. It's strategic. At the heart of this maneuver is an unquestionable truth in modern Formula One. To reveal technical information ahead of time is to lose competitive advantage. In a category where a simple modification to a wing can be worth crucial tenths, showing the final design of a car before private testing is almost sporting suicide. Red Bull, aware that its rivals observe every detail, has chosen to shield its true cards until the last second. The real RB22 will hopefully be seen in Barcelona in the first private tests. And even there, it will be under strict surveillance. What was presented in Detroit was an exercise in visual storytelling. A symbolic, non-technical message. A ghost car that serves to show a new identity, not to reveal a new design. This approach is not unique to Red Bull. In fact, it is becoming the standard. Mercedes, Ferrari, McLaren, and other teams are following the same formula. They all feature decorations, not aerodynamic solutions. They all jealously protect their internal innovations. Because in this new technical environment, where active aerodynamics and hybrid balance will be more important than ever, every inch of design must be confidential until the last minute. In short, the RB22 presentation event was not a technical launch. It was a declaration of intent. Red Bull did not show its car. He showed his vision. In an increasingly closed Formula One, where technical opacity is part of the strategy, these types of events become tools for media and emotional positioning. What is truly relevant, what will make the difference between success and failure, is still hidden in the wind tunnels and test beds of Milton Keynes. And there it will remain, until the timer starts ticking. The biggest challenge facing Red Bull in 2026 is not in the public eye. It has no visible shape, does not show up in renders or shiny decorations. It is hidden, sealed inside the car, in a high-precision hermetic environment where what could be the most risky move in the team's history is developed, its first completely owned power unit. We are not talking about a simple evolution of what they had. It is not an improvement on a proven concept. It is a completely new creation, built from scratch at the Red Bull Powertrains facility in Milton Keynes, and in direct collaboration with Ford, which has returned to Formula One with industrial, not symbolic, ambitions. Until 2025, Red Bull lived off the strength of Honda, an external but reliable supplier. With Honda, they won championships, dominated seasons, and established Verstappen as an unstoppable force. Now all that stability disappears. What is developed in the test bed has no guarantee of success. There is no history, there are no references. Just data, simulations, and a long list of questions. And what is at stake is not small. If the engine fails, the car fails. And if the car fails, Red Bull disappears from the fight for the championships. The new technical rules of 2026 have turned this challenge into a highly complex task. The hybrid architecture changes completely. Currently, the internal combustion engine delivers approximately 80% of the car's total power. But starting in 2026, that proportion will drop dramatically. The heat engine will only deliver around 536 horsepower. The remaining half, almost 469 horsepower, will come from the electrical system focused exclusively on a hyper-developed MGUK. This is not a marginal change. It's a radical reversal of power flow. Propulsion becomes a choreography between two systems that must act as one, and with no room for desynchronization. But the challenge does not end there. Red Bull Ford also has to comply with new regulatory limitations aimed at sustainability and efficiency. The fuel will be 100% synthetic, which completely changes the power curve of the thermal engine. This involves a total recalibration of combustion, turbo pressure, the ratio between the air-fuel mixture, and the optimal detonation points. That is, every engine component, from the crankshaft to the injectors, must be designed for a new, unexplored, and still evolving environment. Internally, there are signs that Red Bull has had to adjust its expectations. Originally, there was talk of a competitive power unit from the beginning. But initial tests showed that achieving basic reliability is already a battle. The power figures are promising, but the Achilles heel could be in the thermal management and weight of the hybrid system, two areas in which more experienced teams, such as Mercedes or Ferrari, could have an advantage. Therefore, Helmut Marko's recent statements point to a year of transition, in which even a partial victory would be considered a success. When Ford announced its return to Formula One, many interpreted it as a symbolic move. A great brand with a great logo, seeking visibility in a global showcase. But those who know Ford's history in motorsports immediately understood that this was no simple marketing operation. Ford does not return to F1 to appear. It returns to build, to innovate, and to mark an era. Your partnership with Red Bull is not a sponsorship, it is a strategic integration. A technological marriage where each party contributes what the other needs to survive and prosper in the most demanding era that Formula One has ever known. Ford has been developing advanced electrification systems in its commercial vehicles for years. From the hybrid architecture of the Mustang Mach-E to the software platforms used in its F-150 Lightning, the company has established a unique ability to manage high-power electric motors under conditions of intense and prolonged use. Exactly that, is what Formula One of 2026 demands. Because this new generation of cars can no longer depend solely on the performance of the thermal engine. The efficient, dynamic, and thermally stable management of the MGUK will be the factor that separates the winners from those who only complete laps. Ford's contribution is not limited to the electrical area. They are also participating in the development of engine control systems, electronic control units, and intelligent sensors that will have to manage a constantly changing flow of energy in real time. Every time the driver steps on the brake, releases the accelerator, or manages the lift and coast, there are thousands of decisions the car must make in milliseconds. Ford is working to optimize these algorithms to ensure that each unit of energy recovered is not lost, but is transformed into traction, acceleration, and tactical advantage. Furthermore, the presence of Racing Bulls as a real test bed under racing conditions also allows Red Bull to manage risks more effectively. For example, if you want to validate a new thermal management setting on the MGUK or a variant of the energy recovery system control software, Racing Bulls can implement those changes first. This protects the main car, Verstappen's, from possible unforeseen consequences. This turns the second team into a kind of rolling laboratory, capable of experimenting without directly compromising the championship results. What is at stake in 2026 is not a title. It is the right to continue existing as a dominant force in Formula One of the future. If the RB22 succeeds, Red Bull will have proven that it is more than a brilliant team supported by talented suppliers. He will have shown that he is a creative force, a total builder, A pioneer in an era where software rules, where electricity replaces explosion, and where margins of error are measured not in milliseconds, but in data packets. That's why the RB22 is not just a car. It's a thesis, a declaration of intent written in carbon fiber, signed with engine maps, validated by simulations, and tested on every meter of asphalt. It is a promise for the future, and at the same time, a testament to the era that is ending. Subscribe to continue uploading more of that content. Now you really think about all this.